I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
Dumb Witch Club. That's become my favorite out of the jingles that I sing when we start.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something. I can't think of what.
It has a very comforting feel to it.
Almost like My Little Pony.
Oh,
ish.
I remember the theme song for that. Let's not even start going down this rabbit hole because we're gonna suck. It's like a black hole. We're just gonna get sucked into.
Yeah, the Scorpio's really struggling with the
nostalgia.
Yeah. And the shit. I can't indulge it. But do you see how it just comes out?
No, it's true. And then I feel like my Leo-ness is like, let's play. Let's just have fun.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
Cry while we're doing it. Like, that's fine. I'm having a great time.
Good.
Oh my God. So are you nervous about today's episode?
Yeah.
Are you actually?
No, well, I mean, yeah, a little. Because just like we always talk about, we embody the energy of the things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, yes. But let's circle back to that because I didn't anticipate you asking me that. But now that you have, like, I feel like that brings up a really good point to the whole thing.
To bring up later.
Yes.
Okay. Amazing.
Yes.
Let's
I need
keep
to
that in
remember
mind. We're gonna
that you said that.
Put a pin in that.
Put a
come
pin in
back
it.
to it.
I'm writing your question down.
Okay. Before we get to it, before we get to our anxiety, big witch energy, we're gonna do a card pull.
Oh, yeah.
What do we have today?
It's another, is it new? I didn't bring this, right?
No, I have not. No.
It's another new to you one Moon Witch.
Yes.
Card deck or oracle cards. Yes. I mean, just amazing. I feel like
Have we used this deck ourselves?
Together? Yeah.
Okay, yes, I thought so, but you haven't brought it on.
By Cosmic Valeria. Yeah, it's beautiful and lovely, and I felt like we needed like moon, I don't know, moonness. Moon vibes.
Yes. I mean, you don't even have to explain. Sometimes it's just like, that's the deck that that's the deck that we needed today. So.
And I love like the duality.
It's like, yes, it's like black on the one side. It's kind of like, it's not even white. It's like that really nice, like kind of eggshell kind of color.
Eggshell, and it has like a really nice feel.
Yay.
Do you want to pull or do you want me to pull?
I think I want you to pull.
Okay.
I feel like I've been pulling lately, so.
I am fine with that. I can handle that, I think.
Okay.
We'll see.
There has been a lot of energy going around, so.
Yeah, it's been quite a week.
It has been. I know. We'll get, I was going to say we'll get more into that and why though, but I don't even know how to explain it, but.
I know, exactly. Sometimes there just is no real explanation for things, and that's totally fine. You don't have to have one.
Okay, let's fan these. I'm done shuffling, so. Okay. You can also pull them apart. They're kind of sticking.
They do kind of have that vibe. They're so heavy and like beautiful. Oh, this is so perfect. This is so perfect. So I pulled Ceres, which is based on the goddess Ceres or Demeter, and it simply says love and mother yourself, and that's precisely what I need to do. That's precisely what you need to do.
Yes.
It's, I'm guessing, likely what a lot of you out there need to do if I'm picking up on the collective energy appropriately, which I think I am because of this. Yeah, it's been rough. It's been a lot.
Yeah.
So.
I also think this fits in perfectly with our big witch energy subject.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, very nice.
Perfect timing on that.
Very lovely energy there.
Yes. Love
Enjoy. That. Alrighty.
Thank you so much.
So what do you say we get into some why though?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Need to know why though.
Yes, always. We always do. I have one thing, but I don't know if I should lead with it because I think your things chronologically are before mine.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Okay. So we teased it last time that the Lionsgate portal has been opened or is open, whatever.
Yes.
But it is going to be reaching the peak, which I think we also mentioned last time. But it's going to be close when you're watching this. So August 8th is when it finally reaches its peak.
Which is like 8-8, so that's
Yes.
like angel numbers, you know.
Yes, so
Yeah.
pay attention to that. Jackie's bringing that up. Pay attention to that 8s that you're seeing around. Or you can kind of like harness that number in the practices that you're doing if you feel drawn to that. It's the number of infinity. So, because it's the infinity symbol, you know. So, you could even use just like the symbology of that if you want, not necessarily the number. If like the number doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. So it's associated with also the number 8. It's associated, and Leo is associated with the strength card, the tarot card.
Yes.
So that's coming up, and 8 really is like so powerful because of that infinity notion. So it really is that like limitless potential that you have.
Yep.
So be open to those signs, that guidance, those energies. But the other really cool thing that I thought about, which I loved particularly for us too, so it's a little personal, but whatever, I love it, is that 8 and the 8th house are associated with Scorpio.
Ah, yes, correct.
So I love that it's also connected to that because of that transformation.
Yeah, I knew it.
Right? But there's like so much good energy behind that, and like sexuality, sensuality, all that like Scorpio-ness is coming up like together with like the Leoness, and they want to say that we don't work well together, and they want to say that we hate each other.
It's because they're scared. They're scared of this combination.
Because look at this. This is like one of the biggest things that's happening. It's like one of the most powerful, amazing, energetic opportunities that you're going to be presented with.
Wait, are you talking about us, or are you talking about the Lionsgate portal?
I mean, this, but it's because of us.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I mean,
figured. I knew it was personal.
That's what I think. So I love that. I just had to mention that because I'm like, oh, I love that
Yes.
connection.
No, totally.
It's cool. And then also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention it's also last quarter moon in Taurus the same day. Or like her and her quarter moons. But it's important because it's giving you even more of that like, and I feel like it's that Taurus energy of like, who cares, right? Like, don't focus on the stupid stuff that's like holding you back. Go with the Leo energy. Go with the Scorpio. You know, Tauruses are really good at being like, this isn't me. This isn't my job. Go with her. Go with her. She knows what to do. She knows what to do.
Oh, they also bring that fixed carry through energy.
Yes,
that
very much
like
so.
just keep going.
But that nice earthiness to it, where it's like you separate the things that are important from the things that are not. Earth signs are the best at doing that. Because if it was just all that fire and then that kind of Scorpio energy, that's a lot. That's just a lot. And you can get really lost in it. But I feel like that Taurus energy brings in the like, don't get bogged down. Like just focus on the things you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I love that.
That's a nice day. That
it's
August
a good day. August 8th. Yes, I like it.
Yes. So, and it's also, okay, so bringing up that last quarter moon in Taurus, as we know, Taurus is associated with Venus.
Yes.
And as we know, Venus is in Leo. She's in retrogrades. But I want to bring up something very specific regarding Venus and all of that. There's something called the Venus star point.
I mean, that just sounds amazing.
I don't even care what it is.
I know.
Give me a Venus star point on the calendar. Like, I will take it. So this is happening on August 13th. So what that really is, that is when Venus and the sun align. And if you look at a pattern that shows the movement of Venus around the sun from the Earth's perspective, it creates this really beautiful geometric, what is sometimes called the Rose of Venus pattern, or it's kind of like a 5-pointed star, but because of the pattern, it's circular too. So it's like looping around and around. It's really beautiful. But so this Rose of Venus has within it these cycles that are marked by the Venus star point dates in the calendar. And it's an 8-year cycle. And the star point is when Venus changes from an evening star to a morning star, or vice versa. So right now, because she's in retrograde, she's going from an evening star to a morning star. So that energy shift is happening. Venus is always about love and beauty and tangible things, material things, money, all of these harmonious concepts. As we know, Leo is kind of about, a lot of things, but I think in this context, it's sort of looking for a heart center to all of that. And as Venus is going from an evening star to a morning star, she's becoming more active. She's going with the sunrise. And it's just like a really lovely, so and also just to say, I'm not going to get super into it, but if you wanted to track all of these Venus star points over this 8-year cycle, we're in sort of the third petal of the rose.
Oh, how cute.
And there's 5 petals, so we're kind of in the middle of that. It started in June of 2020.
Okay.
And it's going to go all the way up until, for a few more years after this. But there's a lot of literature on it. It's really cool stuff. We may even go more into depth just on that at some later point. But I just wanted to really mention this Venus star point. That's what it is. A very special time. And I just think it's like, I don't know, it's a very deep and transformative and lively energy change.
That's great.
Yay.
Good news. We needed some of that.
I know. I'm really welcoming this. I'm really welcoming this. So
I love that for all of us.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add from your list? And if there's not, I wonder if you have a singular piece of advice for everyone on this why though.
I do.
Okay.
Don't leave the house today.
And we're going to let that one lie. You ready for some big witch energy?
I am. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. So what we have for big witch energy today is what we're calling anxiety witch.
Yes.
Some of you might hear that and be like, ew, no, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah,
right?
they're like, click.
Yeah, they're like, no. Okay, this has a lot of relevance.
It has so much relevance. It has a lot of relevance to us. It is something that I feel like people want to ask and talk about quite a bit. I hear it constantly from people. I'm like, how do I navigate around this? I think it's a really important topic. Yeah, it's not the sexiest topic in the world, but so what? Like that's not always going to be. That's life. So, no, this is really good. I'm excited about it.
So before we get any further into this, we just kind of have to put the disclaimer out there. Yeah. Like, we are going to be talking about anxiety, which is related to mental health, obviously. But we're talking about this from a personal story sometimes, which is, not professional advice. It's just personal experience. And we'll also be talking about it from a witchcraft and astrological sort of perspective. So this is not professional help or advice. This is not a substitute for those things. We encourage you to seek out mental health care for yourself as an individual. We all have the right to access that. At least we should be able to, not to get into the healthcare system in this country. But anyway, so that's our little disclaimer starting out. But that being said, we do have a lot of experience and we have a lot of cool knowledge, I think, to share on this subject.
Yeah, we do. And I think that people, by the nature of like even what we do, I mean, people have this question a lot. And so, I'm really excited to talk about it and just like kind of dive into some ways to reframe thinking around it and provide some, like Jackie said, it's not professional advice to you. We're not treating you, but, some advice.
I feel like a lot of witches be having anxiety.
Yes. Yeah. Like the cross section of people that identify as witches and who have anxiety. Like, it's a major
Venn diagram is very, yes.
Middle heavy.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like, just to say, like, I think that might be a result of people being drawn to witchcraft who are disenfranchised and have struggled in the structures of our society.
100%.
And I think a lot of the anxieties that we experience on a daily basis are because of ineffective structures in our society that do not support us as humans on our just like actualization as a human. So
absolutely. Well said. Yes, absolutely. And I think that just to say, if that's you, I hope that makes you feel like you're in the right place and that you're doing the right thing and that you know who you are. Because that is why you were drawn to it. And so just kind of like hold on to that when it gets kind of tough and messy. Like, you are exactly where you're meant to be, and that is exactly who you are.
And I think where this kind of can come up as a question in terms of like witchcraft, it's like, how do you know the difference between your intuition and kind of, listening to that voice and anxiety that's telling you lots of things that maybe are fear-based? So I really want to differentiate between these things because I think that they're different. And so I was trying to come up with like how to explain what the difference is or to help you, but how I've also had to separate, knowing which is which. So here's what I kind of came up with. I feel like intuition is a universal, sacred knowing that comes from deep within, from your inner truth and values, just as a living being.
Yes.
Whereas anxiety is fear or worry related to past personal or collective experiences. Yeah. So it can be learned very, very early on, but it's learned. Whereas intuition, you have to learn to listen to it and identify it, but you don't have to learn it.
Yes.
It's within you already.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to put it, because that's the ultimate question that people ask. How do I know, right? If it's intuition or if it's like obsessive thoughts or compulsive thoughts or as a result of anxieties, traumas, these things. Because, that's where I think it gets a little bit complex because, those traumas and things that have happened to you, anxiety resulting from that, it biologically changes your brain. Like it changes you.
Yes, and it's 100% real.
Very.
All of that is real.
Very real.
So that's where you have to try to suss out.
Yeah.
It's all real.
Yes, exactly.
But where do you want to place your energy?
Yeah.
And we can give, guidance and our own experiences, but it's a really individual thing. And it's a very unique journey, I think, for everyone.
Yes, it is. And it's a good thing that you pointed that out, because I think, and this is no fault to anybody, or I'm not criticizing anyone, because I certainly have wanted answers for things and just wanted them to be simpler than I kind of knew they were going to be. Intuition, because you actually do know. But it's such a good point, because it's a journey, and it's sometimes a lifelong one. I mean, witchcraft is a lifelong practice.
Yes.
And you grow and change. And all these things we talk about within astrology, and like the life cycles and the different, time periods you're going through and all this kind of stuff. All of that is you growing and changing as a person. And it's happening to you in your brain, it's happening to you physically, and your witchcraft is going to sort of grow and develop from that. And your anxiety and the things you're dealing with is also going to change, and the way you're thinking things and stuff. So yeah, there's no quick answer, there's no easy answer, there never is. But, I feel like that's also kind of a relief, because
yes,
it's like you always can learn.
Yeah, and you don't have to ever get to a place where you're like, I have it all figured out.
No.
Like, so to throw that out. Like, don't think that that's where you have to get to. Because, it probably doesn't exist. So, don't strive for it. That's very anxiety producing, to be striving for a goal that's unreachable.
Yes, totally. And like, you can be striving to improve things. You can be striving, for, things to be different the way you want them to be, of course. But it's that striving to just have this complete enlightenment and understand everything. That's just not realistic. People spend, lifetimes in their religions and their spirituality and their practices, and still don't even know. When you ask them towards the end of their life, they still don't have everything figured out. And that's the, essence of being human. So that's totally fine.
No, exactly. And I think sort of along with what you're saying, I think when maybe we do hear from sort of like sage elders who have been through a long journey of life and maybe spirituality, I think what they more often say is, I realized I don't have to have it all figured out, and I learned to accept my human frailty, basically.
Absolutely.
So I think, again, just kind of, there's not this like, you're going to figure it out and we're going to tell you how, like,
No, because we can't tell you how. Everything, just like Jackie said, it's so individual, like very uniquely individual to who you are and the things you've been through and what you're dealing with. And if that is like actual anxiety or whatever it is that you're dealing with, everything is going to be individual to you.
And at the same time, sorry, I just want to add, while it is so unique and individual, it's also a universal experience.
Yes.
I think everyone, and we can get into like if you're clinically depressed or anxious, or if you're diagnosed with something, everyone experiences moods and worries and anxiety. And it's sort of like an existentially universal experience.
Absolutely.
So just having those feelings or thoughts alone doesn't make anything wrong with you,
Exactly.
I mean, and depending on how debilitating or how much you're impacted, you might need interventions and support, and like that is obviously completely fine. But just anxiety alone doesn't mean like you're not managing well or there's something wrong with you.
Exactly. And if the anxiety is really centered around, because we hear about it in terms of just your lived experience with anxiety, like you said, whether it's just having anxious moments or actually being diagnosed with having an anxiety disorder, whatever it might be. There's that, and then there's also this cross section with witchcraft, and sometimes where the anxiety is stemming from is the witchcraft itself. And that's, I think, a lot of what we hear, right? Because people are like, well, okay, but like, am I doing this right? Or am I doing this wrong? Or, am I going to be like smited because I didn't like, or whatever, or I didn't know that it was, a Samhain and I forgot, or I didn't know the moon phase was that, and this was that, and I did the wrong moon water. And
I shouldn't have done a manifestation on that day, and now it's going to ruin everything.
Right? Exactly. Like that's, I feel like that's also like, and maybe the anxiety is already there, but then also it's compounded with this, like, now the thing that maybe you were drawn to help with your anxiety is causing your anxiety. All these layers of things. Yes. Yes. We understand that. We get that.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, and again, there's no like clear cut answer for that either, unfortunately, other than to say like, like you said, it's universal. Like everybody's just trying and your intention is what matters. So are you doing it wrong? Are you doing it right? We're called Dumb Witch Club.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. Nobody knows.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, maybe not those of you who are watching this, but other people who would say we definitely are doing a lot of this wrong.
Oh, I'm sure they would. Right. I'm sure they would. And, probably people that are like a little stricter about certain things. And you're going to encounter this, especially if you're sort of just getting into this world and discovering things. You're going to encounter a lot of this attitude of like, well, no, rose quartz is used for this and that's it. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, or whatever. Like, really, when you're feeling anxiety about those things, really just confront those ideas and what they actually mean to you as a person and who that person is and what their authority is, just the way you would sort of evaluate like any other information that you come across.
Yes, and I think the more you can define yourself to yourself, for yourself, the less anxious you get. I mean, when you first start doing that, you're going to be more anxious.
Yeah.
Because you're like, can I even do this?
Yes.
What am I doing? I'm not allowed to do this.
Totally.
But you are.
Yeah,
and once you do that more and more, and not, I'm just going to say, relieve your anxiety by relying on someone else to tell you what to do and how to do it. So define yourself for yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's why, often we'll like give you guys ideas. We do that to give you a jumping off point, to give you a starting point, and to share something that is personal to us. But by no means are those ever like hard and fast ideas that we're telling you, and that everybody needs to use the same correspondences and everybody needs to, you know, celebrate these holidays. Like, we are by no means doing that. That is something you're going to come to, you know, on your own. And sometimes a little bit of a structure does help. Like, it alleviates the anxiety sometimes in the beginning, because when it is so open,
totally,
that can also be anxiety inducing.
Yes. And I think, you know, there is a calmness that comes from structure and from tradition.
Yes.
But over relying on those things and not going to your own intuition and your own self values, you know, I think that's where it gets problematic.
That is where it gets problematic, and it's where your anxiety is going to feel worse.
Yes, correct.
Because like Jackie said, the more you know yourself and really tap into who you are and what's meaningful for you and everything, the less anxious you're going to be about a lot of things, especially witchcraft. That should not be causing you that type of anxiety. It just shouldn't be. And if it is, chances are you're over-relying on what other people are telling you should be or should do, or you're just, not listening to your inner voice as much as you should. And that is doing magic.
Absolutely. I also want to add at this point that witchcraft is not a cure for anxiety either. No. It's not like you can do, again, the correct right spell in the correct right way enough times so that you cure yourself of anxiety. You know, it can be part of, focusing your mind, and a spiritual practice does help with mental health. Overall, many studies have shown that. So there's lots of benefits and tie-ins. But again, thinking that you're not doing it right because you're still anxious about things, that's just not the right mentality. And I'm not saying it in that, like, it's not right like that. I just mean that mentality is contributing. That's an anxious mentality too.
Yes.
So you want to check yourself always.
Absolutely. And very good point. These things all, run parallel to each other, and they all go in tandem with each other. Your other practices to keep yourself healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy, all these things. Your practice, your witchcraft, that's part of that. It goes with those things. So, and it should be, unique and individual to you, and shouldn't be the thing that's causing you anxiety.
So I have sort of some ideas about questions that you might ask yourself to sort of get better at discerning between intuition and anxiety, and maybe get a little clearer on defining yourself for yourself, like I was saying a minute ago. So some of these questions just kind of have to do with when you're experiencing something. Also, I just want to say, like, the human body is very limited in its expression of emotions. And I mean expression within your body, somatically. So anxiety and excitement and intuition and lots of other emotions can feel very similar in the body. Right. So if you automatically tell yourself, ooh, I have butterflies in my stomach, that means I'm anxious, I can't go to the party, then you're not going to go to the party, right? But if you feel butterflies in your stomach and you say to yourself, this is an example of self-questioning, ooh, okay, what is this about?
Yep.
What is this telling me? What evidence do I have for why this is something legitimately that I should be worried or anxious about, versus is this based on a pattern of something in the past? And trying to ask yourself gently with curiosity about the feelings you're experiencing. You can also ask yourself, is the thing I'm considering doing or not doing that I may be feeling these butterflies in my stomach about, does that thing align with my values?
Right.
And if it does not, then that's your intuition reminding you that does not align with your values. But if it does, and for an example of this might be, you might get really nervous to go to a party, just to use the example I already said. But if this is like your best friend's engagement party, maybe it really aligns with your values to go there and be there for your best friend.
Right.
So that would help you discern and guide that, oh, that's just anxiety, maybe based on very real experiences you've had with negative experiences in the past. but that if you go with your values, then you can decide that feeling is there and I can honor why it's there, but I'm going to move forward with this thing that I'm choosing to do. So anyway, it's kind of just a way that all of that can start to work in the practicality of decisions in life and feelings.
Yes, and I absolutely love that. That's magical in and of itself, just sort of centering yourself and looking at those things and really tapping into how these things are making you feel in your mind, your soul, your actual body, how they're making you feel, and the decisions that you're making. That's, I think, people who have anxiety too, I think this is, it's something that they're used to doing, like that scan of like what's happening here. But sometimes, like when it gets kind of mixed in with witchcraft and intuition and things like that, it gets a little bit muddy. And so that's a really good way of just kind of like pausing and breaking it down. I really love to do that. For me, we've talked about this on the show before, but for me, like the physicality is like a big part of the way that I experience things.
Yes.
My practice, the spiritual world, it's my body is like a big, it's always been that way. So for me, because I know that about myself and the way that I'm made and built, that's what I really do when I'm like getting kind of lost in those feelings. I really tap into, okay, where am I feeling this and how am I feeling this? And I don't know if anybody is similar to me at all, but I know when it's anxiety and like just like that adrenaline associated with that, when I feel it in my wrists.
Yeah.
There's this feeling I get. I've never had anyone say like agreed with that, but I get that. It's in my wrists, and I know that's an anxious feeling. And with the thoughts, like when I can tell by the shape of the thoughts and the way that it's sort of making like my head feel, like if it's a very spirally or outward projecting thought, I'm like, that's not intuition, that's anxiety.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like and look, it's not like, so I'm just screwing this whole thing up because, like, okay, maybe I feel that way sometimes. But that's not the point of that. Like Jackie was saying before, the point is not to beat yourself up and be like, okay, so I'm just doing it wrong. All this is anxiety. No, it's acknowledging you have that, you're dealing with that, do the tools to calm yourself if that's what it is. But you also know, like, I know what it feels like when it is the intuition. It sits differently.
Yes, and that's kind of where, like, cluing into those discernment questions and really taking a gentle, compassionate, curious approach with yourself.
Yes.
Because your mind is all too quick to fill in with negativity bias.
Totally.
This is what our minds do. It's not helpful.
No.
And so you have to use, like, your creativity, which is also inherent, to take a look at this other stuff. And I think identifying, like, to the smallest details of, like, maybe you get a tingly wrist too, or maybe your ears get itchy, or maybe you notice, but I think also when you're scanning your body and identifying these things, it can also be really useful to maybe get like a crystal involved.
Yes.
And you can place the crystal on the area that's feeling anxious and activated in your body. Or on the other side of that, you can look for somewhere, despite how anxious you might be feeling, somewhere in your body that it's calm. And then you can put a crystal on that body part to enhance and strengthen, that energy that is there. Because I would just say, maybe sort of for the sake of argument, or not argument, but I don't think you're ever 100% of anything. No matter how panicked or anxious you might be, it's never taken you over completely.
That's so right, and that's such a good point, because the way we're explaining it, because we want you to be able to kind of think about these things, but the way we're explaining it is sort of in a binary way, like, is it this or is it that? But that's such a good point, because it can be all of it.
Yes.
Witchcraft is messy, intuition is messy, anxiety is messy, all of it is trash garbage. Yeah. We are just full of trash garbage.
Human life. Yeah.
Trash garbage. It just is. And that's okay. Like, one of my favorite phrases that I came up with, I don't know, a while back, is an altar is you. An altar is you.
Right.
And because of that, unfortunately, There's all this stuff going on, and it can be going on simultaneously, and that's okay. And it's okay to like acknowledge that, because it can also be symbiotic. It has to be, because you have to live and you can't shut things off. Like Jackie said, witchcraft isn't this like prescription to end these struggles and like, oh, well, if you just, are a little holier about it, then, you can be better. Don't listen to that stuff. That is what other things teach you, and that is not okay in this space, and it's not good for you.
Definitely. So I think anxiety manifests in the body, like we were talking about. It also clearly is related to your thoughts and things that you start thinking. And a few minutes ago when you were I forget what exactly you were saying, but you were kind of going through a little anxious dialogue that you might have in your head. And so I think, again, in that kind of questioning or checking yourself way of gently, if you're starting to think things like in absolute terms, in black and white, in binary terms, I never do this right. I always get this wrong. I've messed everything up. Like, that's anxiety. Your intuition does not be mean to you. No. Your intuition is there to help you and encourage you, and it whispers. And that's why we have to learn to listen to it. If something is screaming and shouting at you, it might more likely be anxiety.
Yes, 100%. If those thoughts, what they sound like. But if you know that little one, and maybe some of you haven't heard that. And if you haven't heard that, I'm so sorry that you haven't, but it's there and you can tap into it.
Yes.
And if you need to hear our voices to do it at first, that's totally fine. Whatever you need to do until you can hear it yourself, but it's there, and it does whisper, and it's telling you when those anxious thoughts are coming. It's telling you, like, that's not true. That's not true.
Yes.
You're fine. You're great. You're doing a good job. Like, those things, yes, that's the truth. That is the truth, because the truth really does whisper. It doesn't need to yell.
Yes, and so many from a very young age of our life experiences, especially if you're socialized female and identify female, we are taught in so many ways to not listen to our intuition, and so it gets quieter, it backs off, but she's still there.
Oh yeah, she's still there, and it may just be a little bit more effort. And I know that's not what anybody ever wants to hear. Again, like you want us to give you the spell and you can just do it and then it'll be fine.
Anxiety cure spell coming up after this.
Don't ever buy that. If anyone's like selling that.
Don't pay money for that.
Don't pay money for that. That's not a thing. I know but I get it, because we do the same thing. Like we sometimes want to throw ingredients at stuff because we're just desperate and anxious and don't really know what to do. And Jackie and I have definitely been there. But you want to know something?
We have been there.
We have been there, but I will say, and she'll agree with me, we have done magic out of that place and it's worked.
100%.
Because it doesn't matter.
100%.
Spirit doesn't care. They know you're anxious. They know how you were created. They know exactly what you are. They know you're anxious. They know you're sad. They know the things you've been through, and they don't care. They're there to focus on your intention, and even if that is a desperate cry for help and you don't really know what else to do and you just kind of throw it out there, sometimes it still works, because that's the beauty of witchcraft. It's not perfection.
Absolutely. And I'm remembering like some of the times that you're referring to, and there's so much magic available when you are in those moments of desperation too.
Oh my gosh,
so when we're talking about, discerning between intuition and anxiety, if you are in a place of anxiety and that's what it is and you don't know what to do about it, I'd say turn to your witchcraft practice.
100%.
Because it's not a cure, but it can really be a comfort. And we have experienced that from a beginning of being like, I don't even know what we're doing. I don't even know, what do we even have here? Like, I don't even know. We're just going to throw these things on the table. Like, and we've sat with each other and we've sat with all of that and watched a candle burn down. And by the time it was at the end, we barely even said anything out loud. And we were just like, okay, like this has passed. And So there's no wrong way to do it. There's no wrong way to come to it.
No, there is no wrong way. And, I think a really good place to start with things, if you just really are feeling anxiety about witchcraft in general and what you're doing and not doing and your practices and everything, well, hopefully, you're watching this, so hopefully, you're getting some encouragement from us that you can be dumb and it's totally fine and you're doing just fine. And I'm sure most of you probably know that, but if you're new to this and you don't know that, that's just true. You're in the right place, and no matter how dumb you are, you're still doing your best, and that's all that matters is your intention. And I think a really good place to start with like spell work and witchcraft and stuff, if you're confused, focus on these things that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Do the ground, start with just the grounding exercises. Make it about you, because this practice that you're going to be taking on and maybe for your whole life and sort of exploring is about you. And there's nothing selfish about that whatsoever. It is about you and what makes you feel good. So even if you're just doing grounding exercises for like quite a while and journaling about them and seeing how you feel, that is magic. Mm-hmm. That's witchcraft. You are a witch if you want to call yourself that. That is what that is. And then you can move into other things. I think like shielding and empowering, all of those other sort of, then it graduates out, but start with just the grounding stuff, just the getting to know who you are.
Yes. I think that's so true. And, there's always more to learn and more to grow. Yeah. And that is totally okay. Mm-hmm. You also never get to that pinnacle of I've got it all figured out, like we were saying earlier. Yeah. But I think the important thing is that you've started. And again, if you've watched this far, you've started. Like, I'm sorry. You did.
You've started already.
So good job. Congratulations.
Good job. See? You did it. You're already doing it.
See how easy it is? You're so good.
I love it. I love that. And yeah, it's just, I think it's easy sometimes to get lost in those feelings, and then like witchcraft or being a witch or whatever, like I feel like it sort of becomes outside of a person. Mm-hmm. They start talking about it, even when I say they, I mean me, start talking about it as if it's this separate entity or this metaphor.
Right.
It's not a metaphor.
No, it's not. It's like, literally a thing.
A witch can function as a metaphor in literary... Okay, it can. But my point is, like, witchcraft and who you are as a witch is not metaphorical. It's real. Yep. It's literal. It's who you are.
Yep.
It's not the wellness industry. It's not, strict religion. It's none of those things. It's who you are, and that is kind of a messy, anxious witch sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm that every day.
Yeah, I was going to say sometimes is very generous. No, I think I love all of this discussion. Yeah. I think it's a really important discussion to have and to begin to have and to have again and again, perhaps.
Yeah, again and again. Like, talk about it freely with your friends and, the people that maybe you're in a coven, or you don't maybe call it that, but whatever people you're around. Have these conversations and open it up, because I think sometimes people are so afraid to...
Yes, you feel isolated.
Yeah, like, well, if I admit that I, don't know that that's what rosemary is used for,
right,
they're going to kick me out. Who cares? Who cares? If you read stuff and it aligns with you and you're like, this is why I like this particular thing and I want to... Great. But don't just let someone witch 101 you. That's annoying.
Yeah, exactly. Do not sign up for that course.
No, and it's going to do is just increase your anxiety about not doing things right. So, yeah, have these conversations with the people that you trust and really
very normal.
Open up. It's very normal.
Yeah.
We're all doing it.
Yes.
We're all dumb.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that wraps up our big witch energy segment.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Yay. We do have a spell of the week.
Yay!
And it is not anxiety cure spell, okay? I'm really sorry.
Crossing that
I
off.
know. They're like, click, not watching.
Was waiting for
thumbs
that.
down.
Thought that was coming in. I thought all of that was just a joke. You're actually going to tell us at the end.
No, so, but it goes with, okay? Because I was thinking all right, am I going to go heavy into something to do for anxiety, whatever? No, okay. So I went sort of a different way. I went with, this is called Celebrate Yourself. Okay. I know.
So good. Okay.
Which is Yeah, amazing, because it goes, yeah. So you're going to need to gather quite a few things for this, but there's really only 3 things that you actually need, and the rest is completely optional. So the things you actually need are salt, paper, well, I guess paper and something to write with, so there's 4 things.
Okay.
And a candle in your favorite color.
Love.
In addition to that, optional things are other things that are your favorites. So this can be your favorite flower, your favorite crystal, your favorite oil, favorite herbs, fabric, favorite song you can have playing, favorite art, favorite objects, anything that's your favorite stuff or that represents your favorite stuff. So you're going to gather all your things there. And yes, fabric, yes. So this could be an item of clothing. This could just be, anyways. Okay, so you gather all your favorites together. Once you have everything there, you're going to light your candle, and you're going to make your salt circle, of course, as usual. And you're just going to sit, and you're going to take in all of your favorite things and the symbology of that, and kind of look at how you are represented in all of these items. And you're going to say maybe something like this. This is a moment to celebrate me. I am unique, worthy, and a light in the universe. And so after you really are in a place where you're feeling that vibe, you're going to get your paper and your writing utensil, and you're going to write down 3 of my favorite parts of me.
Oh.
And those can be physical, those can be personality traits, those can be qualities, generosity, excitement. They can be, my fine ass, whatever it is, right? Feel yourself, okay? And then all you're going to do is you're going to roll up your little scroll, and you're just going to tuck it in a pocket, tuck it in your bra. Going to extinguish your candle, and if possible, and close up your circle. And then if possible, you're just going to keep that scroll on you for the rest of the day, or sleep with it under your pillow, or sleep with it tucked in. And just try to hold on to it and read it again if you need to, or just know that it's there.
That's so nice.
Yay!
Love that.
Spell of the week.
It's a very Leo.
Spell of the week.
Spell of the week.
Yeah, so.
That was really good. I liked that.
I like that too. I don't feel super anxious in our anxiety discussion.
No, and it's funny because I said I was going to circle back to what you said, and then I didn't, but now I will. When you were like, are you nervous about... And it's so funny that you said that because, and then I said we always tap into the energy, and I think that was a really good point that I, wanted to make. Yeah, a little. I always am a little, right? You're always going to be a little, depending on what you're doing, but particularly, this is a big topic. I'm taking it on. We're talking about it together. We're talking about it with you. It's putting it out there in a public place for people to take or leave or whatever their opinions are going to be. That's normal for me to have felt that and picked up on that energy. That's also magic. Tapping into those energies. Anytime you practice that, like Jackie said, scanning and sitting with that and identifying those feelings and everything. Anytime you're doing that, even when you're not in an anxious space, if you're just walking around or sort of sitting somewhere and you're noticing that tree makes me feel this way, that color makes me feel this way, if you can try to incorporate that more of just tapping into the energies around you, you'll get better at doing it inside of you.
Totally.
And I acknowledged when you asked me that, I kind of do feel that way. But at the same time, I was like, that's normal. Of course you do. And we're still going to do this episode. And you're still going to have great things to say. And so is she. And they're going to get something out of it. And I'm going to push through that nervousness. But was I? Yeah, absolutely. And that's...
And being able to just say, yeah, I was. That gives you the power and gives the anxiety less power. So, all right. I love this.
Same.
And I also just want to say, we wish you all the best.
Yes.
Truly. Truly. Very truly. So,
absolutely.
Until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner.
And Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer. Creative director and culture consultant, Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dope.